Welcome to Umeå, the city of birch trees in northern Sweden, on the 63rd latitude. If you like winters, this is the place to be. Umeå is Sweden's most Nordic university city, including about 30,000 students, which gives the character of being a young city with lots of spirit, a city of development. We are now near the Baltic Sea, with a subarctic climate, normally dry, cold, snowy winters and warm and sunny but short summers. Climate changing is going faster here than in southern Sweden. A climate change about 2 degrees warmer during 30 years has given longer period of growing without frost. That are good effects. The negative ones are unstable winters, icy winters caused by +degrees during daytime and freezing temperature during nighttime. This year, the winter has so far been a record of snow depths during February. Ice or deep snow depth causes problem, of course, for the wild animals. For parks and gardens, icy winters are a nightmare for both lawns, perennials, bushes and trees. The city hall we are looking at, since more than 100 years, has been the center point of the mid-axis in Umeå, which extends from the river to the railway station. I have been asked and working as a landscape architect with restoring part of the historical park founded in 1896 in front of the city halls, including a statue of the city founder Gustav II. From the beginning, the park was the center point and a promenade park for the society when Umeå was well known for military companies. Today, there is a change. The students and the whole city are using the park as an outdoor living room more or less year-round after the restoration in 1994. Pathway and low walls causing structure and quite protected lawns in the very best south side location towards the river. Restored mid-axis and fountain are covered by snow, which you can see during the winter. 2 roads are crossing the park from the city hall to the river, which splits the park. The newly built sculpture house from 1994 are designed by Snøhetta in Oslo, and I was asked to design the key area, including the culture house surrounding. A total contrast in design and architecture compared with the restoration of the historical part. The idea with the theme was to unite fabric with the architecture and landscaping. We wanted it to be influenced by the bark of the birch tree in black and white, which you could see both on facades and pavings. Planting beds formed as ice sloughs, wooden decking, large sofas, all of black wooden decking gives the key a large but informal scale. A bastion of granite completes the square overlooking the river, which also gives an option to overlook the city by staying on the fenced diving board. The park department of Umeå has given the park character of being filled with summer annuals since more than 100 years ago. We wanted to add some perennials to give it a longer effect during the whole summer, from early spring to late summer, August and the beginning of the winter. We use big planting beds following the pathways along the sides, including a couple of few perennials, but in a pattern which gives variety and a huge and a good variety of biodiversity. The big trees are all spared big trees of acers, which you can see during winter, and the smaller ones are newly planted, including the cone-formed tilia ones in front of the city hall, which gives a quite good frame, including the birch trees alongside the pathways, which are glittering in white and black. The winter use of the park is connected to the pathways passing the park, but also when the sun comes back and springs arrive, the big benches alongside the river are in focus for the public. When we are looking south, we are going to my nest, which is more or less a bird nest in a piece of a forest next to the river of över, about 60 kilometers southwest of Umeå, which means also that the distance to the Baltic Sea increases, including colder winters, a little bit more snow, but also quite warmer summers. What makes the parks and garden interesting to present in northern Sweden is that after a quite long winter, short spring, there is a pre-summer in end of May. About that time, the temperatures goes up, the sun is nearly 24 hours a day, and everything starts growing. Nature awake, gardens awake, ferns growing, perennials growing, and also bulbs are still there. It's quite unique combination you can see by looking at late tulips, ferns and perennials, but also some annuals in the beginning of June, which you never see elsewhere. After midsummer time, it's when it goes into July, of course it's a fabulous month during the summer before autumn arrives in August. But it also means that the heat during daytime also is in contrast to the rather chilly nights, which means that the flowering stays for longer in this climate. In August you can see all the vegetables in the kitchen garden and also the late summer annuals like dahlias, snapdragons and sweet peas in flowers. But the big thing is that it's a harvest time in the kitchen garden, like strawberries and vegetables and other kinds like wild berries and so on. We do have a good selection of hardy plants, of bushes and trees for this special climate. But of course there is a smaller variety than it is in southern part of Sweden. The garden is quite small. It's placed in a piece of nature with big conifers more than 100 years old, covered by blueberries and lingonberries. The idea with the garden is more or less a little bit of an experimental field where I could combine architecture and design with my interest of horticulture plants and ecological planting. I would say it's the most important thing you're doing in a garden in this kind of climate is to produce a good microclimate. We have been using the buildings and the plank, trees and bushes, slips and woodland to create a good climate for both human beings and plants. But it's not only a good quality of material, plants and knowledge. You also need a good organic soil to cultivate in, because a good soil creates a good circumstances for surviving of plants of all kinds. The kitchen beds or raised beds, they include both vegetables such as rucola, salad, dill, carrots, sweet beets, peas, cabbage, haricot berries of different kinds, but also some summer annuals such as sweet peas, dahlias and snapdragons. It gives all we need during the whole summer till the end of October. As a complement for the kitchen garden, we have the orangery, and that is both for a place to be during winter, but also for overwintering Mediterranean plants such as lemon trees, bougainvilleas, and our absolute favorite plants, the tropical Australian ferns. We keep the orangery in about 12 to 15 degrees during winter. With the fireplace we can create about 20 degrees in 15 minutes. That is because we have very well insulated walls, we have triple glazed windows, floor heating, which produces an energy efficient place. To that we have automatic airing and shadow curtains, which gives a good climate indoor for both plants and human beings. Been working over the last 40 years all over Sweden with different projects from airports to smaller private gardens and everything in between, like most city parks and city squares all over Sweden. I would say this is my private experimental garden where I also can try by error and being sufficient enough to learn and also to develop new ideas of different kinds, both in the design matter but also in the choice of doing planting beds and combinations. It's also something I can use in my work for public spaces, which are both in a bigger scale but also has a more often another attitude, not a small scale as a private garden is. Of course, the piece of nature we are living in here next to the river, which is a Nature 2000 area, is a privilege with the salmon in the river and a beautiful surroundings. But it's also something which also gives a lot of energy to also being able to work both in Sweden and abroad.